question to each of you. Don't put your hands up at once to start, while you both look at the ceiling thinking.
That's the thing, there is space for everything in industry, and it's making sure that the material selected is the right material, because the most sustainable thing we can all do is do it once and do it right.
I was thinking, what you want is lots of warm spots, given given the subject matter. Yeah,
Technology.
Lots of warm spots, not a few hot spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you would have been both in this industry, let's say before the real wave of sustainability, reduced carbon. I would say it's always been there from my experience, but it didn't seem to be priority 1 or 2 on people's list. It was maybe 4 or 5, I think it's probably fair.
Yeah.
What's your experience of seeing that change, I guess, over essentially roughly the same decade? Have you seen a massive shift in people demanding it, or has it been Tarmac led to say, oh no, we have to make this change and then bring it to market? How's that worked?
I think a lot of it's client dependent, isn't it? So I've got a couple of customers who are really, really keen on the carbon that they're creating as a business. So then that falls into Tarmac as their suppliers. But then you've also got the other side of the supply chain. So they're trying to sell it in, but they don't have the funds to cover it yet. And then on the flip side, you've got customers who don't understand carbon at all, don't even know what the baseline is to get that conversation started. I suppose.
Yeah, I would say over the last 10 years, I mean, the climate has changed. And where maybe 10, 15 years ago, scientists were suggesting that, global warming is really going to affect stuff. In the last 10 years, you can see it, can't you? You can see that, we're a much wetter country in the winter period, and the infrastructure's really been challenged to cope with it. And so obviously a lot of our clients have declared a climate emergency, not all of them, but some of them have. And it isn't just about material manufacture, it's about drainage and how you deal with water runoff and polluted water runoff. And it's much easier to understand the need to reduce carbon when it's visible to everyone. And I think the last 10 years, that climate, certainly for me, we've seen the difference. We do a lot of winter gritting, and occasionally get really severe winters, but again, this winter hasn't been that severe at all, really. And it's becoming, my thoughts are it's becoming later. January, February, March, becoming colder, whereas 20 years ago, you'd think October, November, December, and so forget the evidence and the scientific basis behind it. People are seeing the change, and the challenge is it comes at a cost. And our client, which are predominantly local authorities, government, they really struggle to get the funding to do the core maintenance. And then when there's additional challenges around, climate resilience, making sure that, using sustainable drainage system, all comes at a cost. And it's, what's the most important?
I think that's a real key point, that visibility piece. So when you look at the water runoff and flooding issues and the effect that has on local communities, you see that. You can't see a kilogram of carbon. So it's looking at how that is reflected through into even the general public, where tax funders' money's going and how that is spent. It's easy to quantify if an area historically is flooded badly and a system's being put in place, they see the difference. But if you say to them, that stretch of road's low carbon, and to them it's a stretch of road, so it's that visibility piece is really, really key as well. And
I guess you got the whole prevention is better than cure angle. But it's like when you get ill, isn't it? You're meant to take your vitamins every day. You don't, and then when you start to feel a little bit ill, you're like, oh, I'll get on that actually. And by that point, actually, it's a little bit too late, and you maybe should have acted a little bit faster.
Yeah, I think that's why it's much easier to articulate. And when local authorities have limited budgets, one of our clients, London Borough of Waltham Forest, they've had some areas where residential areas, this is in the middle of London, have been flooded, you know, and that never used to happen. You know, it might be a 1 in 50 year event, and all of a sudden it's, you know, 4 years we have flood, and then again, and they've had to stand up and take notice of it and invest in it, and certainly they've done that, and it's critical. You know, I've been fortunate, you know, none of mine hasn't been flooded, but I can imagine it's horrendous. And when that starts affecting your residents, you know, you've got to do something about it.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say, my first experience, or my first awareness of some of the sort of lower carbon things that you folks do was around warm mix.
Yeah.
I think that got brought up a few years ago,
Yeah.
and quite generic for me, like, oh, it's warm mix asphalt, not. Where did that come from? You know, as a term, again, was that a case of someone coming to you saying, we need to reduce our carbon, what can you do about it? Or was that Tarmac as a business going, right, this is clearly becoming an issue, we need to do something about it? What does that look like? I don't know if that's a fair question to you both, if you weren't sat in the R&D lab at the time or whatever, but
I think from my experience with it and kind of my education piece around it, it came from both sides. So we had warm mix technology that was available in industry, was starting to come through, but Brian Kent, who was one of our technical leads at the time, he did a workshop with the Carbon Trust that kind of pushed that warm mix agenda. And then obviously as Tarmac, we went warm as norm. So now if a client asks us for a price, you get warm mix on your quote as a standard. So already that carbon saving is there. But again, that goes to that understanding piece of people are using these products, but do they realise the carbon impact it's already had? And then RAP technology, I mean, RAP isn't a new technology by any stretch of the imagination, but still trying to push it in the specifications and get them higher RAP contents. I feel as if it's something we've developed massively over the last, say, 5 to 6 years, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's only the last few years, I think I'm right in saying this, that warm mix has almost become a norm. And I think, I'm not sure on this, Megan, you might know, but in 2004 was the first trials that Tarmac did. So that's over 20 years ago. Yeah. And obviously, when I say the last 10 years, people have seen the effect on the infrastructure from climate change. Back in 2012, 2013, I can recall some of our clients using warm mix only and having the confidence to say, look, you know, this is a proven material, there's less carbon. But in 2018, 2019, 2020, I'd still be talking to clients that say, I don't want warm mix.
Yeah.
We've always used hot mix. This is how we maintain our network. We're not prepared to take the risk, you know, and taking that leap of faith to a new material and a new technology seems to take forever. And, you know, certainly I think the way some of our clients, you know, they would be nervous about putting material on that they don't think is going to perform the same. But, you know, we're pretty clear that warm mix, it has to be laid in, you know, I think it's above 8 degrees, is it? So
reasonable temperatures.
So when it's very, very cold, and you know, you have to revert to hot mix. But generally, if you're going to program your surfacing works, you do it through the summer period, which is obviously it's safer. There's more day work, daylight, and you know, you can get far better outputs. And it's the right time to lay a hot material. As a sort of collective industry, we need to adopt and support and back innovation, new technologies.
I was going to ask you about pushback, because obviously different realm, but we've had it over the years, even in just like the use of digital in random marketing. I had conversations with people when I started in 2014 around, you know, like social media, and they're like, oh, that's not really for business, and now they're the selfie kings and queens of LinkedIn, and great, don't get me wrong, but things change, don't they? But I do think, as you mentioned, this industry at times can be a bit slow to take the plunge, because no one wants to be the people that tried it and sort of messed it up or got it wrong, and I understand that. But do you still now, as we sort of sit 2026, do you still get, oh, we've always done it this way, we're not particularly interested, or has that seriously changed now?
No, we still get it. So it does vary in the amount we hear it now. I feel as if it has reduced over the last 5 to 6 years, but yeah, we still get clients who have always done it with a certain material. They don't want to look at innovation, and that's the thing, there is space for everything in industry, and it's making sure that the material selected is the right material, because the most sustainable thing we can all do is do it once and do it right. So if that does mean using a product that is higher in carbon, is a hot mix or an HRA in chips, any of the heavier carbon materials, but that wood is going to last longer than the innovation would, then it's the right thing to do. And that's where that engagement piece is really key. So it's us understanding the job site for our customers, and obviously from a peer point of view, working on that job site and making them calls. And I think part of the confidence piece is that if you go back, and I've heard this as I've come through the industry around thin surface costs and SMAs, and nobody wanted to adopt them, and now the common practice, and it to me is 9 years in the industry, it's always been there. So it's having that trust that if we're putting something to market, we haven't just picked it up and gone in and done it. There's a lot of R&D gone in at Tarmac side to make sure that the products that we are taking to customers and clients, we do fully believe that they are durable, they will last, and they will perform better than, if not the same as, what you've already got. Because doing it once and doing it right is the safest and most sustainable way to do it.
And that probably brings me on to CEVO pretty well, because that's the most recent sustainable flagship product, I think I'm right in saying.
So CEVO is the branding around the product. So what we've done with CEVO is, we were aware that we had warm mix technology, we had wrap, we had different fibres, bio-bitumens, carbon negative aggregates, a multitude of products coming through into the market. And it was how we made sure that we captured and kind of controlled all of them factors. So CEVO was originally launched within our ready mix business a few years back, and it's around the carbon evolution. So we've now brought it over into the asphalt world, and effectively it is looking at a solution and a package rather than just the materials. So it could be that a client who's never taken a warm mix before takes the plunge and does that warm mix trial and has their first deployment, and look at that CEVO journey. So then what's the next stage, what's the next option to them? But it's a way of us packaging it and being able to take an offering to market, because there's so much going on in that innovation space that it's sometimes hard to keep track of it all.
It's the next generation. It's the next generation, and it's low carbon. And if our clients are serious about, carbon, which I know they are, then they've got to start thinking about what are we going to choose, how are we going to maintain our network over the short term and the long term. And to your earlier point, Matt, there are some clients that always do what they've done, but there are some clients, and certainly we work with quite a few, that are prepared to trial stuff, are prepared to innovate, and to look at doing stuff totally differently to how traditionally highways have been maintained. And that can only be a good thing. It comes with a bit of risk, maybe. Some of our clients are doing stuff differently. So if I said, obviously I've got lots of experience in the highways maintenance arena and working for local government for many, many years, and the traditional, there's two ways to maintain your network traditionally. One is you do reactive work to potholes, to keep the road safe, to make sure the carriageways are at a sensible level, that there's no serious incidents. And the other way is you do planned maintenance, but that's so restricted by the amount of funding that our clients have, that they would like to resurface all of their network, but they just can't afford to do it. So there are some of our clients that are looking, is there anything in between? And we've just recently developed, there's a JCB Pothole Pro. It's a machine that is got some fantastic outputs to dig out, sweep, clean, and get ready for patching. But we're working with one of our clients, and that's right in the space between reactive and planned, where we're doing 150, 200 square metres of patching a day. We're doing it in a, if you like, a walled basis. Geographically, we're going from one road to the other, to the other, to the other. So we're getting great outputs. The machine's really quick. We're getting materials delivered on the back of insulated wagons, like 20 tonnes of material, rather than traditional patching where you're going around on a small lorry, and every patch you go to, the material's getting cooler and cooler. You need to keep it warm, but this time of year when it's cold, it's very difficult. So not only are you getting greater outputs, but you're getting a much better quality reinstatement, and the difference is, because they can't afford to resurface all of the surfacing carriageways on their network, and people could criticise it looks a bit like a patchwork quilt, but if you've got limited funding, my thoughts are there's definitely some in between here and here, and obviously you need to choose the right material to make sure that the lifespan of that repair is going to be as long as possible, and that's quite challenging. And that just comes back into the, you've got to start thinking about doing something differently. And one of our, we've done it for probably a year and a half now in London Borough Harrow, and we've had some fantastic results in their network. They're spending less on reactive than they did because they've taken this, it is a different approach. I think, when you talk about Bye-Bye and CEVO, people have got to just look at the way they do stuff differently.
So the first kind of bio trial we did, which at the time we titled The Art of the Possible, and it was Stockton and Hartlepool Council who did the schemes with us. Started as a very general conversation with a number of local authorities in the northeast, explaining what the offering was. Shell came and explained what the bio-bitumens were and what they could achieve. And we kind of said at the end, look, the technology is there, but we need somebody to come on the journey with us. And Stockton and Hartlepool stood up together. Luckily, two neighbouring authorities literally on the doorstep of our plant up Coxo. And from the July to the October, what the team in the north did with our contracting business was manage to programme the works around so they were working alongside each other. So one was done on day shift, one was done on night shift. Everything we changed at the plant level around the use of HVO fuel, electric chargers, the running of wrapping the units, how we got the materials into the plant was all changed at the same time, instead of that, there's 150 metres on a Monday in January, but then there's nothing else till a Saturday in March.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So having clients as well, and especially that local authority piece, obviously, they have some real high carbon targets themselves within local authorities. And if they work together and learn from each other as well, and there is obviously organisations out there that bring them together and look at that innovation, and it is doing it differently. We've got a local authority in the north now who is using bio-binders on majority of the work. It also means that the funding is running out quicker, because obviously it is pricier at the moment, but the carriageways they're doing will last longer, and the data and the technology is there to prove that they will last longer. So it's that durability piece, and that sharing of knowledge across the industry. I think we are guilty sometimes in the industry of we learn something and do it, and we all kind of keep it internally and we hide it away until you're fully ready to speak about it. But actually that's what slows innovation. That's what stops the RAP percentages going higher than they are. It's what stops the warm mix technologies being used where they can.
I think it comes up quite a lot from certain things I've been in. So like even, for example, like the TMCA workshops I'm a part of and things like that, and like competitive advantage comes up so often because I think everybody wants to collaborate. I think everybody wants to drive a better standard of whether it be safety, sustainability, innovation. Everyone wants that. They just don't want it at the expense of losing some business to someone else, which obviously I fully understand, but that is a real inhibitor, isn't it? Like not wanting to relinquish a bit of competitive advantage is a factor in that being a bit slower progress at times.
It can be, but as we've just touched on there, if you look at the UK road network and the state of the road network, there's enough surfacing to go around. And
there is,
there's plenty of work because we are in that stage now.
This way of delivering in between what's always been reactive and then your planned works, I think there's definitely a place for it, and residents will be much happier with that. I mean, just coming back to, why do we want to save carbon? I mean, as I've said, people can visibly see it. I mean, I drive down highways all the time now, and particularly when it's raining heavily, which has been, very recently, we've had some heavy rain. You see huge puddles, don't you? I mean, 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't a thing, and now you can see. So climate change is happening, it's visible, and you can do something about it because industry is developing and morphing and producing products that can absolutely support it. But local authorities and government have got to back it and be prepared. And like I say, consistency is the thing. If I come back over the years, if we could get all of our clients to say, right, this is our lowest carbon material, and this is the one that we should all adopt and work collectively, it makes much more sense. It's much easier, it's going to be cheaper, and we're reducing the effect on the environment, and that's all part of where we need to be to reduce some of this climate catastrophe that we see from time to time.
Going back into your sort of CEVO Asphalt, you've mentioned bio-binders, you've mentioned wrap. I mean, I had to get a little clarification downstairs before we came in. Can you maybe just tell me again what that is, why it's important, and then how it maybe sort of fits with the whole CEVO solution?
So if we start with the warm mix material, so our warm mix material effectively is the exact same product you've always had, mixed at a slightly lower temperature, and we use additives within the mix to ensure that you still keep your workability and your kind of workmanship on site. With the wrap technology, so wrap is the recycled asphalt planings. So effectively it's the carriageway that's come out, we take it back to our plant saw and reprocess it and then put it back into the asphalt you get today. One of the main drivers around the wrap use is the raw aggregate, and the bitumen isn't going to be an infinite source. It will run out at some point. Now, hopefully not in anyone's lifetimes who's in the room today, but it will run out, so we have to future-proof. So where we can reuse and recycle, we do aim to do that. And then the bio-bitumens, there's a range of bio-bitumens out in the market. So there's a number of different styles of bio-bitumen that we've trialled within the business. Some of them remove carbon from the bitumen before we even get it, so we get a reduced carbon product from the start. Some of them don't necessarily remove the carbon when we get it, but they've been developed to give a lifespan increase on the material. So one of the products we use has a 20% lifespan extension effectively. It reduces the oxidisation of the binder, so the road then doesn't deteriorate as quickly. So it depends on what that carbon number looks like. But then around CEVO, we've looked at HVO, we've looked at electrifying our kit and our plant, but it does go back to the point that Peter's just touched on, the funding and the legislation around it. So if Tarmac could go tomorrow and put all of our fleet as electric trucks on the road, it would be a huge carbon saving for Tarmac. the trucks don't exist and the infrastructure isn't there for them yet. So it's making sure, as well as keeping on top of everything that needs to be kept on top of with funding, it's future-proofing that infrastructure. I mean, I personally don't drive an electric car yet, but in the coming years I will. And obviously up and down the road, certain services have better EV charging sites than others. Nobody wants to be caught out, and it is that kind of, you can pull into a petrol station and you know you're okay. Imagine if you're doing that in a 32-ton truck and you don't know where your next EV point is.
Yeah, it's, I mean, in that regard, so obviously the materials have to get delivered. At the moment they're getting delivered by HGVs and virtually all of them diesel based, and obviously they've got emission standards and requirements, but they're still emitters of CO2 and the like. So what we're doing at Harper Lane is support from government. As a government initiative, they're getting a 1 megawatt EV charger, because obviously these HGVs that are fully electric are very expensive, so you need to work them 24/7. So you don't want to use it for 8 hours and leave it 12 hours to charge. You want to use it for 8 hours, charge it for an hour, and get it out again. So that is, you think, well, let's just get a 1 megawatt charger, but it involves substations, it involves recabling, it's an awful lot of work and it's very expensive.
Can I bring you back to something you said about some of the CEVO solutions before, about sort of extending, I guess, like asset life cycle by like 20%. I guess that product then has that product range has like a further decarbonisation benefit, in that less maintenance and all the vehicles and emissions associated with things like that. Are there other knock-on benefits and integrations that those solutions also provide our road network? I mean, that's the first one I thought of just when you said it, but is there anything else that extends beyond, let's say, the product itself, that then gives additional benefits?
The way the material is laid. So if you look at a couple of the case studies we've done and works we've done, I think the showcase one would be the A64 up at Branham near Leeds, just off the A1. When we got the A64 as a scheme to look at around carbon savings and how we achieved it, one of the bigger savings and bigger changes with it was actually within the pave operation for it. So we got a full road closure. We managed to get the carriageway for the full weekend, which allowed us to plane off and relay differently to how we typically would on a 5-night road closure and do so many metres at a time. So the carriageway up on the A64 has a joint at the start, a joint at the finish. It has no centre joint in the matador. We laid in echelon. We also planed the road differently, so we used a number of technologies to ensure that the road we were going to be relaying on and resurfacing was the smoothest it possibly could be. Because if you imagine if you plane off at 40 mil and put back at 40 mil, you get the same bumps and undulations in the carriageways you had.
Just saying, the way that Megan explained it before, the product itself being a lower carbon product is obviously a win. The fact that it extends the life cycle of the asset and therefore needs less maintenance or repairing or relaying or whatever less often is like an additional win. Are there further benefits to your CEVO range than just being a lower carbon material?
Yeah, well, not just the lower carbon stuff, but obviously the age safe. The age safe is, that's classic. If it lasts longer, there's less interventions, and over, a 15 or 20-year life cycle, it's going to cost much less to maintain, because your replacement cycle might be 5, 10, 15 years further down the line. So, but this is a classic balance between investing in a slightly more expensive solution now to not have to pick up a bill in 10 years. You might pick up the maintenance bill in 20 years if you plan it properly, but it all does still come down to, is there enough in the pot to do that. And it's a classic sort of asset management dilemma, isn't it? You know, let's do it right. Let's do it with best practice. Let's make sure we get that whole life cost invested as best we can. But then the challenge with that, some of our clients will have, well, we can only do 75% of our net worth if we do that. We've got 100% of work to do, so unfortunately we can't.
And there's no, it's funny you say, obviously, if someone looks at that and says, oh, we could only do 75% of our net worth and we need to do all the work, there's no saving up, is there? There's no sort of, I'll tell you what, if we delay it all for now to make sure we have got the money, because I was just, as you were speaking, I was just thinking, like, what does break that cycle? And my borderline childish thought was, save up, which I know is not a thing. However, if there was a potential to accrue that money and do it all, you actually start a new cycle. You just can't do it, can you, with the pressures from the public and everything you see about complaints around the state of the roads. Like, I would not put having an answer on you folks, but have you got any thoughts around what would potentially break that cycle? What would there be a gradual shift towards, okay, can we do 80% of your network? Okay, we're getting closer. Do you know what I mean? What do you think could be a bit of a fork in the road for, okay, this might be the start of breaking that conundrum that we've got, that the money's not there to do it the way we want to do it, but we're just creating ourselves the same cycle of problems. I mean, have you got any thoughts on that?
I would like to think we've already started on that journey. There is some local authorities have taken the plunge and looked at these innovations and some of the bio and CEVO materials and said, do you know, this is the right thing to do? And does it mean that less of the network's getting done? Yes, it does, but it is that rock and a hard place scenario, isn't it? It's, if you're looking for additional funding, well, where do you take that from? Do you take it from social care? Do you take it from education? No, they don't have big enough pots either. So I do think we've started on the journey. I think that the challenge we've got is similar to the warm mix technology, the putting RAP in the mixes. We don't have the luxury of having 20 to 30 years for this to come through. We almost have to just flick that switch and do it, and it's a challenge, but we're here to support. And
if I said, so this is like big picture utopia stuff, there's 154 local authorities, and I'm not 100% certain, but I would say contracts are different between those 154, specifications are different, material specs are different, and that makes contractor and the materials provider a far more complicated and time challenging and expensive solution. Whereas, you know, how do you break the cycle? We have developed material matrices for some of our London boroughs where, you know, there's only, if you keep it simple, like in life, you've got to keep things simple. There's 5 or 6 roads. There's like a residential road, there's a very quiet unclassified road line at the train. You know, there's a high street and there's a strategic road that runs through all local authorities. So, you know, there's 4 or 5 different types of road, and obviously they've all got different performance requirements. But if you really kept it simple, does that mean there's 4 or 5 asphalt mixes across the country? And Megan was, how many mixes? Thousands and thousands and thousands, and every different. And then you also come to the fact, Megan raised it before, about we have issues getting road space, right? So, you know, we can't just, right, we want to resurface Acacia Avenue, so we're going to close it for 2 days. You know, we'll apply for it, we have to do it months in advance, we have to make sure no utility work going on. You know, it's really complex. If getting road space and getting agreement that we're closing stuff, it's much safer, you get far greater outputs, and that will drive costs down. And you know, it's a wholesale different look at, right, we want to do this next week, let's go there, we'll close the road, we'll be in and out in 2 days, and it won't need a visit for 20 years because we've age saved, we've done it very quickly. We've been pretty disruptive for 2 or 3 days for residents, but would residents rather be disrupted permanently for 2 or 3 days, or every 5 years have their road closed for ongoing maintenance, which again is more expensive? So simple specifications, 6 mixes for local authority roads in the UK. I mean, is that ever achievable? I mean, it's a big ask, but what's the reason why we couldn't do that? There's only 5 or 6 different types of road.
It's really valid as well, though, around the amount of local authorities and actually how they're monitored and baselined. So I've spoke to multiple authorities as well, and each of them have a different baseline. Some have included PPE in the cost, some have included materials, the buildings, some haven't. And I think that there needs to be some sort of legislation put into place that each local authority has a kind of guide list of what's included in their carbon.
Yeah.
So is it the building, the street light and the drainage, the actual road surface? What is then captured in it so that they know where they're starting? Because I think that's one of the biggest challenges with the authorities that haven't necessarily come forward on the journey yet, is they just truly don't know where to start.
Yeah,
and the thing with carbon and net zero, it's something we all hear in even day-to-day life. But when I came in 9 years ago, it wasn't part of the conversation. It was warm mix was there, but that was just we were moving to warm mix. Where now it is, right, what's your carbon number? What do you want to save on this job? Do you want a 20% saving? Do you want to cut it in half? Or actually, do you want a net zero stretch of carriageway? Because it can be achieved. Now, one of the key things with CEVO Asphalt and everything that the Tarmac does, nothing is offset. So that is a challenge in itself as well in the market we're in. So everything that we do to reduce carbon is an actual reduction. Could we hit net zero all day, every day? Yeah, we could if we went and planted trees somewhere or paid to kind of bin our carbon off, but that's not the journey we're on. It's not the journey our parent company's on. So we are looking at how we completely remove, and we're there to support local authorities and clients in doing the same.
Is that how you end up with, like, let's say 154 mixes then? Because each local authority's almost got different criteria of what counts as their carbon and other things that cost them money, and then they've got to come up with something, you know, bespoke, working with you to make sure it fits for them, but they can afford it, and all of a sudden now you've just got a slightly different strain of something, so that's another one for that county or city or borough or whatever it may be. Is that how that sort of comes into existence almost, where there's not more of a standardised, let's say 5 or 6 like you mentioned before?
I think it drills from the initial specification as well, doesn't it? So that there's so many different variations of a mix. Even a 20mm binder material, which is bread and butter, goes into every carriageway in the UK. There's multiple different versions of it, whether it's the pen grade, whether it's a recipe or a design mix, or a certain spec for a certain authority or client. And overcoming that challenge is something we are working on it.
Is that people, let's say that have worked in local authorities, they take a job on and they want to do something just to put their stamp on it, let's say, so all of a sudden they're like, oh no, we need this now, and that just kind of, you know, sort of gets bastardized over time and things change, and then you have to go with it. Is that how we potentially end up there? Because people within the local authorities just want to make
I think part of it
for some reason.
Part of it is. Another element of it could be that a local authority doesn't want to use RAP, so we've had to develop a mixed code without RAP and a mixed code with RAP.
Right, okay.
So we end up with 2 product codes, which then the plant is trying to mix 2 different materials that effectively perform in exactly the same way.
Yeah, okay.
So it's managing that through. I mean, when you touch on the thousands of materials, I've recently been working on a project looking at how many product codes we have at Tarmac, and when we say thousands, we mean thousands.
Yeah.
Going through and looking at product codes that potentially are redundant and aren't being used anymore. There's obviously the new spec for highways. Changes are going to be coming through into early next year as well, which we are still working through how that affects not only us, but obviously industry as well. But development of new materials, new specifications within the clauses. Obviously, the clauses are completely gone. So that's a journey
But
in
it's,
itself.
you know, it's easy for me to say I'm not a materials expert, but there's a London borough, and there's a London borough, and there's a London borough, and because they're different London boroughs doesn't mean the network or the traffic is any different whatsoever, but there are different specs and different requirements. And when, you know, we talk about material matrices, which we have developed, like I say, I think we've categorised it into 6 different road types, and therefore, if you're keeping it simple, why isn't there 6 different mixes? And this borough and this neighbouring borough, they're different authorities, politically they're different, you know, residents are maybe potentially different, but the bottom line is there is no difference. You don't notice a difference when you drive from one borough to another, or one county to another. A road's a road. Keep it simple, have some basic solutions, 6 mixes for the 6 different roads, and that would make everyone's life much, much easier. But I don't know if that's a pipe dream or not.
No, I think it would be an asphalt plant operator's perfect world. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been into an asphalt plant and seen how we...
Harbour Lane.
Harbour Lane, so
Yeah, I've been to Harbour Lane.
It's the side of it that the clients don't see. So we could have 6 different materials going out of the plant all at the same time, and everyone wants it at the same time to site. And it's not viable, it's not possible. So we have to use technology within the unit, such as the hot storage capacity and bin space, to be able to store that product up. But obviously, even to heat a bin uses energy.
Of course,
so it's managing how that goes through. So from an asphalt plant operator, it would be a perfect world to come in and mix the same material for the full day, do it in straight runs, and be efficient on the plant as well. Utopia.
Keep it simple. Stupid. That's what they say, isn't
that
it?
goes right back to school, doesn't it? The old kiss, the kiss thing, Let me loop back round on something you said about PAVE before. PAVE is your surfacing division.
Yes.
How does PAVE integrate with solutions like CEVO? To get involved in like extending asset life? How do those things work together?
So as a business, obviously we do have the 2 streams of the business. Well, we've got multiple streams, but the 2 that are in focus today is the materials and the PAVE side. What we can do with materials is create a product that will extend life on the asset, or a product that will reduce carbon. But if it's not laid correctly, if it's not laid using the latest technologies, you're almost only fixing part of the puzzle. So what we've done with the PAVE division is we've looked at the range of technologies that are out there. So things such as your laser scanners, your radar systems, looking at how we actually lay the operation. So we've used electric pieces of kit on site. Some of them are one of a kind when we use them, and how we can extend that life on site. So Peter touched on earlier around the use for an EV HGV. Obviously you want as much workability out of that vehicle. It's much the same with a paver. If you've got a paver within your business that's EV ready or HVO or hydrogen, but it's only going to pave for an hour, well, it's not worth having in there. So the PAVE teams are working in the background around that lane operation, and obviously that best practice is something we can then share with our customers and clients around extending asset lifespan. So the full road closure we got on the A64, the removal of joints in the carriageway. Your joints are your weak point. So if you don't have that joint, that asset will naturally last longer. And when you combine that with the materials technology, you've got a lifespan expectancy of 20% longer, which 5-6 years ago wouldn't have even been a dream for anybody, and we are achieving it. So it's what can we achieve in the next 5 to 6 years with the next range of innovation and technology that's coming through.
when you touch on that 20%, which sort of makes me, because we spoke about it before, your carbon calculator.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that, about how how kind of clients utilize that, how you help them discover what's possible?
Yeah.
That'd be really useful.
So with the carbon calculator, we've got a ready mix one and an asphalt one, both available on our website, and it'll allow you to select a material and look at what the carbon is in that material as of today. And then there's a number of toggle systems on around bio binders, if you want to know more about the pave technology as well that you can use, and it gives you what your indicative saving could be. The reason it's only indicative on the website is every asphalt plant has a different carbon footprint, depending on how the aggregate comes into site, what fuel the plant's running on, the volume that plant can produce. So with the online tool, we've had to use the average of our UK figures. That's not to say that if you have a specific scheme that you're looking at, we can't then give you an exact footprint from the actual supply plant. But as we touched on earlier, the hundreds and thousands of materials that are out there, if we were to build all that into the tool, it would become a difficult tool to use. And that's not what we want. We want it to be a really easy tool for people to go on and say, I'm doing 200 tonnes of a 20 mil binder. I want to see what that saving could be. And then when they see that and see the 10%, 20% that are there, and then combine that with all the other technology, you know that you are actually making that change in the way you're operating.
Yeah, it's always been a bit difficult to, unless you, and I'm not saying the carbon tool generalises, but the thing is, like Megan's explained, if a plant is rail fed with its aggregate compared to being vehicle fed, there's a different footprint from that plant. And you keep it simple. It's really useful for our clients is, if I'm going to lay the high street in hot rolled asphalt, then I decide, okay, I'm going to compare hot rolled asphalt and its footprint to a bio surface course. Yeah. And I can see that, if we've laid so many thousand tonne, I'm going to save 4 tonnes of CO2. And then you apply that to your whole surfacing program for the year, and it starts giving you like really tangible numbers to, ultimately, if you're going to do this, you do need to promote it. I'm sure the politicians will want to know the difference between, what we used to do and what's available now, and so having that very quick way to assess, measure, and like I say, we've got to the stage where our clients are asking for it, and it's much better that you have this standard tool that everyone can use and our clients can use. They can go in their office and they say, right, I've got a program 20,000 tonne for the year. If I use this is the output in tonnes of carbon, but if I use the bio binders, this is the saving. And it gives them the information they need pretty simply, really.
Yeah.
Ahead of works, I guess, which is the thing, isn't it? It
so
doesn't
you
have
can
to
plan
be done,
it,
and then you're trying to work out
what it is.
Straight away, someone can say, we can do this and it will save X without having to try and track that on the go. Or
and that is the challenge. The footprints as well. There's so many different versions of carbon footprints and how people report. So the calculator tool online will give you cradle to gate. So effectively that's the plant production into the back of the wagon before it leaves us. Obviously you've then got your haulage element to take into consideration. So we can then do the cradle to site once we have the specific details. The route the wagons are going to take to get there, because quite often the shortest route isn't the route an HGV would have to take. So we've got the indicative numbers and the actual numbers, just to give people that information up front, and you're not waiting until 6 months after the scheme's done to find that you did or didn't save carbon. We can give you an indicative of what it'll be, and then an actual once your job's complete.
And this might seem a really obvious question, but why is that transparency of that so important to you as a business?
We have to be transparent. If we're not transparent, and we've touched on earlier that the local authorities and government, etc., need their baseline, we need to share what that baseline is with industry, because if we don't, nobody else can move forward. So yeah, we have to give the data and give the information to allow for everyone to be able to monitor it properly.
Yeah, it's a fundamental, isn't it, of material selection. So, you know, you have to consider carbon now, or you should be considering it. And this gives you, like you said, Matt, you can actually see the reduction prior to delivering any work, and you can make those decisions, you know, and often it comes back to funding again, as I said, but you can make those decisions in advance of spending any money. And if you're concerned about, you know, if there is a different cost or there's different materials, it gives you the opportunity to share it with your clients, and particularly your political members. So if you're a client, political members say, look, this is the option, we can go traditional, this is our footprint, or we can go with these new materials, you know, the biobinders, the reduced carbon materials that we offer, and this will be the saving. And then, you know, because some clients at officer level might not want to make that decision, they might want to pass it out to a politician that say, well, this is a no-brainer, we've got to go for the carbon saving. It makes that decision making much easier than, if you like, doing what I've always done, because I know there's not going to be an issue. So,
it makes it an informed choice, doesn't it?
It
makes it a choice that is tangible with data behind it, rather than a feeling. And when it is government money and local authority money that's being spent, quite often a feeling doesn't cut it when that choice is being made.
The angry taxpayer is a different beast out there. So I guess even for like your local authority clients, at least they've then got the transparency of why they've made the choice, even if there's, I mean, I can't imagine there's too much backlash on low carbon materials and process, but I guess you never know.
But if there's a cost impact, you know, that decision, if they've got the information before they spend, they can pass that decision up the line for someone else to make the decision if they're uncomfortable with it. So it does, you know, it really helps to go down the right road.
Is Tarmac moving forward then, is essentially CEVO is shining light and everything's kind of heading that way in an ideal world? That obviously relies on people embracing it, but am I right in thinking that that's kind of the jewel in the crown now?
It will be. So we've got targets ourselves as a business. So we've got a 30% reduction by 2030. We've got net zero by 2050, the same as the UK is. What we've also got, though, we obviously operate up in Scotland, so they do have a slightly earlier target for their net zero. So one of the privileges of working in the north is some of the technology is being trialled up in Scotland quicker than it is in England and Wales. But again, because of the national structure within Tarmac, it allows us to then share that across the national business. So we all operate as individual regions and individual businesses, but then everything's brought back and then into our parent company as well. So the lessons we've learned with CEVO and what we've done have been shared with the wider CRH group. So businesses running over in America, for example, they've learned from what we've already done and tried and tested. So yeah, it's the focus is the sustainability piece, circularity. Where we can reuse, we will reuse. To protect that resource, we have to protect it for future generations.
Have you found any wave in, dare I say, popularity on that? Because obviously, man, it's obvious. Part of our business, obviously, HighwaysIndustry.com, we have an industry news platform, and there was a period in time before the net zero target was pushed back. Like the biggest trend we saw in content was decarbonising and sustainability. It's still very prevalent. I would argue it's probably now not number one. And going back to what we said before about prevention and cure, and you start taking your vitamins when you're ill, it's almost like when your homework has to be done, you get it done last minute, don't you? Have you found that in that there was maybe a real rush? Has it eased off at all since that target got pushed back, or is that not something that...
I feel personally with what I've seen within the business, it goes in hotspots. We get a hive of activity in a certain local authority or a certain region for a number of months, and then that dies off and another authority picks it up.
And when you're smiling, I was thinking, what you want is lots of warm spots, given
Yes.
given the subject matter. Yeah,
Technology.
Lots of warm spots, not a few hot spots.
Yeah. I think from the client perspective, you're right, Matt, in that I would say 5 years ago, climate emergencies were being declared. It was absolutely a key priority for local authorities. I mean, what I see now, when we look at tenders, carbon is important. Social value is becoming a real key part. You know, we've got long-term contracts. How are you going to ensure you're investing in the communities you're working in, you're giving back, you know, you're employing people from the local area and stuff like that. And I would say that social value, it's difficult, isn't it? Because again, it's like funding. There isn't enough to go round. Council, local authority priorities do change. My thoughts are over the last 5 years, the focus, like one of the key dynamics and tender assessments has been on how much social value you can put back. Whereas maybe 5 years ago, it was how low carbon your offer was. And I come back to my point way earlier in our discussions that, you know, I've been about for a long time. I'm getting on a bit. I've been in the game 40 years. And when we have these climate issues, we have heavy rain, you can see the network is not resilient enough to cope with it. And I can see that in the last 10 years. And the problem is if people don't notice that, it's only going to get worse, which in the long term, the asset management thing is going to cost more to change drainage, to implement sustainable drainage schemes, to get low carbon materials, but it's just getting that balance right. You haven't got enough money or enough focus or resource to do everything. So I would see CEVO as putting the carbon effect of managing infrastructure up a step, because I think with social value, which is, you know, super important, and, you know, we're heavily invested in that for our communities, but, you know, carbon outputs are as important, and like I say, over the long term, the evidence is there and you see it with our own eyes. So it's hopefully going to be number one again. Okay, social value is very important as well.
The two can go hand in hand, can't they? I mean, I'm just, as we're talking, sitting thinking about when I was sitting exams at school and you were talking around science and the ozone in the atmosphere, and it didn't.
It was all about deodorant cans and aerosols, that were the CFCs, was it, or something that get
CFCs,
I mean, I passed. I was never a science buff, but when you
Neither
say
was
that
I.
now, like, remember that now.
But it's
talking about using aerosol
that
deodorants
education
and
piece, isn't it? It's that social value can link hand in hand with education, and I think that's where we sometimes get the term sustainability wrong. Sustainability isn't just carbon. It actually is what we do in our local environments and how we look at that next generation coming through, either into the industry or just in general. And you think about the future generations and what we're going to leave behind for them. It's scary how quickly the world is changing, and it all comes hand in hand. And obviously where we can spread the CEVO message and use the platform we have as Tarmac and a material supplier, and in the construction industry we are a heavy emitter of carbon, so we can go in and speak to schools and speak to pupils who are the next generation that are going to come in and teach them about it.
Yeah, makes sense. I don't want to put any more product codes on you because I'm sure the thousands are enough, but like from where your CEVO solutions are, do you foresee further developments there, or is this now the start of Tarmacs? These are the 5 or 6, as you mentioned before. This is all you'll kind of ever need. How do you foresee that potentially developing or evolving, or do you think there's no need based on those solutions and the way that PAVE lays them?
So effectively at the moment, the products that we produce today, the material codes and that side of things on an admin side are very similar. It's just changing the constituents we put in the mix. So if you look at a 20mm binder, you've got 20mm aggregate in there, you've got some 14, some 10, 6 down to your dust, then you've got your bitumen and your additives. It's changing how we build them products. So using the carbon sink bitumen, for example, it's just a direct replacement. So your actual product and end material looks the same, feels the same, works the same, but we've put a cleaner like ingredient into it, is the way to think of it. Very similar with the wrap. So when we take the wrap back and reprocess it and put it in the mix, to do that we remove some of the original kind of standard products. It's looking at, you touched on earlier, Peter, around that enhancement, and it's looking at your standard, your enhanced, and then your kind of real platinum material. Actually, all three of them do the same fundamental job, but it's how long each of them will last and how long they'll kind of like live as your asset. So material code wise, hopefully we won't be adding thousands more to the system.
No, but my thoughts are, I mean, this is just, the CEVO is just the beginning really. I think, you know, as a materials producer, biggest one in the UK obviously, you've got to keep innovating, you've got to keep challenging yourself, and you know, will aggregate change, will bitumen change, you know, the bio binders, will the additives change, will the way we mix, you know, is there a new way of mixing asphalt? Will we be able to get an additive that will reduce the temperature even more? What's next? I think CEVO's the start, and they've just got to keep challenging, seeing what other solutions are possible, and you know, and then working with some willing clients prepared to innovate, do something slightly different on their network, and see what the results are. But you know, I'd just say it's a start with CEVO. So
I think with CEVO as well, we are the client as well. So if you think about everything we've discussed today around hydrogen, HVO, bio-bitumens, we haven't done them on our own. So it's that reverse on the supply chain as well, that we will go to our suppliers, and luckily we have some real strategic partnerships, and we are challenging them daily to say, what can we do more? Right, yeah, brilliant that the product you've given us reduces carbon by 50%. Everyone thought that that would never ever happen, but we want 75% now. How are you going to do that? And we do have that luxury of the business that we are, and the kind of notoriety we have within the industry, that we can push back and challenge, and we can ask them what have they got coming through, and we're quite willing to look at job sites where we could trial new technologies and do it, but that then goes back to the clients being engaged and willing to trial them for us.
And I guess educated enough on it to think, okay, this isn't a huge risk. So how do you do that as a business? How do you engage with clients, potential clients? What does that early stage education or attempted education look like? How do you go about that?
It varies, doesn't it? It varies. So sessions such as today, so obviously we'll have people in industry will listen back and they'll pick key bits out of it. There's a team of us go around and do CPD sessions. So we go into local authorities, designers, architects, and just have the conversation. And one thing I try and do when I'm delivering them sessions is I don't want it to be a formal teacher classroom session. I want it to be a general conversation. What are your pain points? These are our pain points. Well, actually, we can help you with that, and you can help us with this, so that we can work collaboratively together, because it is the only way we're going to move it forwards. We attend some of the trade industry shows and put literature, etc. out there. And to be fair, that most of the credit has to go to our phenomenal technical teams. We've got a technical lab and a team working in there who, everything that we're trialling, it goes back to them, and it gets run through a number of different tests. Sometimes we test to make sure 20 times before we actually go and speak to a client about it. So it's just that support network that's there in the background, making it visible to the client.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say just keep it simple and keep it consistent, which is surely we can do that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes that's
Yeah. How valuable and important do you find those CPD sessions and trying to, I guess, spark that conversation, not spark those conversations around those problems rather than just try and kind of sell your solution? Like, how vital is that to you?
I mean, I've come from the commercial background and the commercial teams, and if you sell a solution, you will always be more successful than just trying to sell your product, because a solution fixes a client pain point and takes away the noise around it. The product will likely do the same thing, but they will just see it as a different product. I mean, we've all seen it within the industry and outside of industry even. Two shops have got the same cake, should we say, the same thing, and both trying to push it through. But actually, if we sell that full package solution, you're fixing all of the noise. And that can be something as simple as we moved on to electronic tickets a number of years ago, and we now don't have hundreds of tickets going to a job site that have to find their way into a van and go back to an office, and the customers have got teams of buyers, accountants, their credit teams in the offices, and click a button and know what's being laid on site that morning. So it's things as simple as that.
Yeah.
Is that causing you pain? Yes. There's your fix and there's your solution.
And that's great once you're in contract. I mean, I've got a bit of experience about tendering and winning local authority maintenance contracts, and what you'll find is the highways tendering system, they call it Series 700, and that will be all of your asphalt mixes. So it'll include the planing, the milling, the cold milling of the road, but often there'll be 40, 50 different materials that you've got to price. Each one of them comes slightly different costs depending on what goes in it. And so one of the challenges we have is, so we will tender a job, we will price Series 700, and there might be 40 or 50 mixes that we're priced, and the client can obviously has got a price for each one of them, and they can choose whichever one they want. I think the key thing is that once you've tendered and you've got the opportunity to discuss what's best for their network, not, you know, these 40 mixes, this number 7's okay for this road and number 39's okay, and then we use 27 here, and we use, if you can have an open dialogue and you know, like come back to this materials matrix, try and agree and simplify, right, for the next, some of these contracts, you know, 7, 10, 14 years, 15 years long, you know, right, for the next 2 years, we're going to go with these 6 mixes for these specific areas of your network, and then we'll review it in 2 years, and we'll see, you know, are there new materials? Do we want to focus on longevity, i.e., you know, a longer pavement life, or do we want to focus on, you know, the lowest carbon possible? And the only way that's going to happen is you have clients that are willing to discuss and try new products, because the bottom line is we tender, we're in long-term contracts, and we're told what to price. And obviously that's a shopping list for a client, but, you know, after, if you've been in a contract for 3 or 4 years, technology's changed. Those specific materials will be old hat, might not be relevant for today, and so it's just all about collaborating, talking, choosing the best solution, and then having a rain check after 2 or 3 years and seeing what's next. So just keep, like I said earlier, keep evolving, keep trialling, and because things will change. So
it's that process and red tape, isn't it? It's almost once you've priced your prescribed list, that's all that you can do.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, we did Stockton and Hartlepool in October of 2023, so we're not even 3 years since we did that scheme, and the amount of changes that have come through even in that 3 years. So it's took them authorities stepping outside the comfort zone and saying, yeah, we're going to keep going with these materials. Yes, they're not on the original tender list, but it's the right route and it's the right kind of path we should be taking. But yeah, quite often it's red tape and trying to get a product in that wasn't on originally. becomes a painful circumstance for the people involved in it, and it almost gives that unwillingness
I
to
get
do
you there
it.
though. With some of the drone solutions we deliver, like for maintenance, it's never in a bid.
Yeah.
But if we approach a local authority saying, look, we could do this in a way that might save you X or give you X and blah blah blah, like even if they're open, there might be a little bit of a okay, well that wasn't in the scope.
That wasn't in the scope.
And then we have the
100%.
same sort of thing where we might have to, I mean, battle's a bad word, but just battle to get the education piece across of what it can do, and just hope someone, you know, sort of mid-tender or whatever's sort of brave enough to go, yeah, okay, well actually it sounds like the right thing to do as opposed to, you know, just a possibility. So I feel like I sort of understand where you're coming from there, because in a different realm, we face the same thing from time to time actually. So
and time doesn't stand still, does it? Things change all the time. I explained to you about the phone, you know, our life has changed with a mobile phone, and same with materials. You know, you go into a 15-year contract and you priced it 17 years ago, and you come into the end, and the way you imagine it will be totally different to your original tender. But you know, you've got to collaborate, and the relationships have got to be strong, and you've got to build trust. You know, the local boys got to trust us, we've got to trust them. And if that trust, you know, over time you can develop trust, and you know, we've got lots of clients where that trust is a key part of our ongoing relationship. And then, you know, you can work together and try to deliver the best outcome, best practice, rather than go back to a document, like you say, with a scope that was 10 years old.
I mean, we touched on earlier, didn't we? We don't have the luxury of time. We don't. I mean, 2050, when you really think about it, isn't too far away. So if we're pricing a tender now that's a 15-year tender, we then get to 2040.
Yeah, there or thereabouts, aren't you, already? Like your next one, if that's another 15 years, takes you past that.
I mean, if you sit now and think
in your realm there, 2 tenders, and you think about it like that, it's pretty stark, isn't it?
And that has to change within them 2 cycles. So
yeah, interesting.
Uphill battle.
Yeah, but we last thing I'll ask you, we call this podcast The Extra Mile. So we ask everyone who comes on what the extra mile means to them. So you can kind of interpret it as you like. But yeah, question to each of you. Don't put your hands up at once to start while you both look at the ceiling thinking. But what does the extra mile mean to you in your role?
I think for me, it's being willing to stick your head above the surface, being willing to even ask the question and engage, because if people don't ask, the conversation never starts. And the sessions I've run over the last few months around CEVO since we launched, I've run countless sessions. 2 or 3 have led to inquiries and led to potential actual job sites going ahead. But out of all of them that I've run, at least I know that education piece is out there. So when it does come to a questions asked around carbon or what they can do differently, they almost sit and think, oh, Tarmac came to see us a year ago, 2 years ago, and is it a challenge getting a foot in the door? Yeah, sometimes it is. But actually just keep pushing, keep trying. And 99 out of 100 conversations I have around the topic will not lead to anything in the next 6 months, but they will lead to something in the next 20 years. So it's just continuing that push.
Yeah, for me, I suppose, keep it simple, work together. A lot of it's about relationships and trust, and you will see mutual benefits. You know, and I'm not just talking about commercial benefit. You know, we're a commercial organisation. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting best practice. And if enough people adopt best practice, it becomes cheaper. And, you know, long-term networks are going to be easier and more resilient over time. So you've got to go with the flow. Change is a good thing, isn't it? And keep moving, keep talking, and keep trialing stuff.
Yeah, nice. Well,